I am the biggest, I am the largest, I am the greatest, I am the tallest African spiritual platform. I'm preaching consciousness and liberation for Black nation and our continent. As Africans, I welcome you people. My slogan is love, love and hate, hate. I welcome you. We are consciousness family and we love, love. Today is a great day. I have a female guest on set who is going to talk about my favorite topic. Let's welcome her on set. We welcome you, Mami.
Madasi.
Udasi pa.
Hey.
Udasi ne dia mu twene baba. Okay,
Kakra.
you will get there. I love that. Today is your first time on this biggest platform. Yes, we are the biggest. So please kindly introduce yourself to us. We want to know who you are. We are ready for even the devil himself. The platform is so open. Tell us who you are, what you are, and why you are here, and pay obeisance to the followers and the subscribers of this platform. They make it the biggest.
Yes, thank you. My name is Keachia Makiba Bowers. I'm known in community as Sister Keachia, and when I'm here in Ghana, I'm Ajua. And I am here as a mother, a wife, a friend, but I'm also here as a community healer and an advocate. I have a master's degree in social work. I operated a practice for many years in the States, and it felt too small. And like Maame Grace, I feel like I'm the biggest and I'm the largest. So I had to create space for the gift that I had. And so I created a practice that I call transformative healing, mental wellness, addressing inner child wounds, facing traumas, and going from pain to purpose. I help people in community identify what pains they've been carrying and how we can change that energy into purpose. Okay, I've traveled throughout the world. I've been to Jamaica in this work with my colleagues with Rastafari TV and other networks to bring a health fair to the Haile Selassie High School. I have been here in Ghana, where I started an NGO called the Aya Foundation in honor of my father. Aya was his name. And we help schools and orphanages create educational opportunities for youth. We've built a STEM lab in Tutu Aquapim. We have done murals with communities. My work is strictly about getting into your inner self and building your big S, the big self. How can we all connect to the big self and transform every lie into the truth? And so it was appropriate that I'm here with the largest platform in Ghana, in the world, with Maame Grace to share this message today.
Yeah, we welcome you. We appreciate you. Abusia, this is our guest for today, and then it's going to be great. But you said you are here to do what? All lies and what truth?
Transform lies into truth.
What is that? What do you mean when you say that?
So a lot of times we have limiting beliefs that we're living under.
Which is?
That are lies.
Which is?
I am not enough. My skin is ugly. My face is ugly. No one will love me. No one will see who I am. No one will listen to what I have to say. No one will respect me. I am not enough. I'm going back to I am not enough. We don't wake up and consciously say, I am not enough. No one wakes up and says, today I don't feel like I'm enough. It is our actions, because everyone has a thought that manifests into a feeling, that manifests into actions. If you want to know what someone is thinking, look at what they do. So if we're bleaching our skin, there is a lie in that action, right? What is that action telling us about that person's thoughts? That the skin that they're in, they don't want to be in it anymore, and they should change it into somebody else's skin. Now, if that's not a lie, then I don't know what else is. So we have to get into the lies that we've been told. And no one really says to you, hate your skin, right? But it's hidden. It's what we call hidden psychological abuse. So if you grow up in an environment and you go shopping with your mother and you see something that you want and your mother says, I don't have enough money for that. Do you know that there's a seed planted in that message that creates a lie? Because then you become an adult who has a limiting belief that you don't have enough to get the things that you need and want, right? So we want to transform those lies into truth.
Okay, so if bleaching the skin is a lie, let's look at it from this angle. Someone who is drug addicted someone who is into alcoholism, someone who is into sexualism, okay? Comparing these three people with someone who is bleaching, what's the difference between these three?
There's none. There's none. And you have, that's such a beautiful question, because I spend a lot of energy and time in my work teaching people that the brain does not know the difference between one affliction and the next. What happens psychologically, and I'm going to get into a little bit of science of the brain, we have a chemical in our bodies. Everyone, I don't care if you're from Ghana or Timbuktu or Hawaii, every human being on this earth has a chemical that is created and is released in the body when it feels stress. It's called cortisol. When your body releases cortisol, it signals the body to react because it believes there's a threat. Okay? So the cortisol tells us, oh my gosh, there's danger. Now, anything can be danger. If you have someone who's giving you a message that you should worship an image that does not look like yours, guess what? The body is releasing cortisol. Just like if you believe that you are not enough, if you grew up in an environment where you were beat all the time, hit every day, called names, looked down on, told that you're stupid, there's a self-fulfilling prophecy that's now created, but the body is releasing the stress hormone. And all we do to relieve the pain of that stress is we find ways to cope. We do things, we do drugs, we turn to sex, we bleach our skin, we lie, sometimes we scam.
So you call all these things addiction?
Attachments.
Addiction.
I call them attachments.
Attachment.
Addiction has a negative connotation to it. When we hear the word addiction, what do we think? Let's be honest. You, Maame Grace, when we hear the word addiction, what comes to mind when you think of someone who's addicted? What are our thoughts about that person?
What is addiction?
An addiction is using something repeatedly to relieve something. But we don't look at it like that. There's negative things that we think about someone who's addicted. If I say to someone, oh yeah, she's an addict. Oh, they're lazy, they're nasty, they're dirty, they don't have ambition. No one says they have trauma. What happened to them? I wonder what happened to them. I wonder what made them turn to that. I wonder what happened in their life. That's not the language that we use. So I transform the language in my work, and I teach my community, check in with your attachments. What are you attached to? That when you don't get it and you don't do it, you don't feel good anymore.
So what's the difference between attachment and addiction?
There
I want
is none.
to know. There is the same thing.
The same thing.
So do you see skin bleaching as an addiction or an attachment?
I do.
You do?
I do.
So how best can we help them?
Woo. That's a $1 million question. How best can we help? Well, we have to get into the limiting beliefs, because remember, everything starts with a thought. So I truly believe that we need to engage in more conversations like this, and specifically in more intimate spaces, town hall environments, going into communities, talking to the people one-on-one, because they need to learn the root of why they have the thought that their skin is not enough.
You are watching The Biggest and the Largest. Bleaching is something I have personally gone into some years ago, and I think I have a great interview with one lady, Angela Bamford, years ago when I started coming back, because something that somebody is doing, the skin is what you will dwell in till you exit this place. So I think it's the most I think it's the most expensive thing on earth as a human being, your skin. But you see what we go through, the people we mingle with, where we grow up and all that, it will put you into this and you become addicted. You will buy cream instead of your child's school fees. Your skin is going bad, but you don't want to stop, because your people will say, oh, why you feel? And when you stop, they will say, why have you become dark? And all that. It is a whole something that if I decide to talk about it, I will even break down. Let me appreciate Rovian Skincare. I appreciate her. she's the one who helped me. I will bounce back and I will bounce in again because of society. It's a huge something, and when you are bouncing back, the painful thing about it is you will not get your natural skin again. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of money for you to regain your own natural skin again. That's why when you mention, I asked whether it's an addiction. Yes. And I want to know what you think we can do to help people. I'm helping people in my own corner, but truthfully, telling people what to eat will bring their skin back and all that. And our society is a little bit difficult. So let's look at it from your own point of view. How would you help someone who is drinking, who is doing drugs, and someone who is bleaching? They are all, someone who is doing drugs and the person that is bleaching, they are doing the same thing because most of these creams have steroids in them. Mm-hmm. You see? So how best you can't talk about someone who is bleaching and leave someone who is sniffing whatever drug. You can't leave them apart. They are one people. They are going through the same trauma. They are going through the same addiction. So I want to know from your point of view, how best do we help people who are in these traumas?
First, I want to thank you because what you did was you validated my message. And so I know it sounds unusual. No one wants to hear this, but I'm sticking to it because I understand the psychology of the mind. There's a deficiency that we have to address, and it will not happen overnight. I spoke yesterday at an expo, and this man said to me, what do you do when you speak to a child 2 and 3 times and they don't change? It will not take 2 and 3 times. If you're 36 years old, it took a lifetime of 36 years to learn that your skin is bad. It may take another 36 years to unlearn and relearn that your skin is good. So we first have to approach this conversation with an understanding that we have to be patient and loving and compassionate with the people. I don't see someone bleaching their skin and think, hey, this person is so stupid. Why are they bleaching their skin? No, we cannot have that mindset. There is a deficiency, and I'm going to introduce you. I'm giving you all my secrets. There's a self-love deficiency, and we have to address it. It is not. The church will band-aid it, because on Sunday you can go in the energy of this uprising feeling of giving praise, and then for that moment you feel good, but then you go back, like you said, into society. You go back into your day-to-day life. You go back you stop bleaching and someone sees the darkness is coming up and they say, hey, what are you doing? You don't look the same. What happened? And they have to live with that. So what do we teach? We teach people, it's what we call cognitive behavioral therapy. That's the language. But we teach people to change their mind. So the minute that the thought comes up, so first we have to identify the thoughts. What is someone thinking that would make them believe that using steroids on their skin? Someone even told me that they take a pill. They put something in their body. Okay, we have to get into what thoughts are they having. We have to identify those thoughts. And we have to create affirmations. We have to do mirror work. We have to literally look in the mirror every day. And I'm not speaking to you as a woman of color who did not experience any of this in my own lifetime. You remember, I'm Ghanaian by way of Jamaica. Skin bleaching is heavy in the Jamaican culture. Let me tell you right now, I have people in my own family who have said, I need my feet to look white. Very comfortably. I need my skin to look a certain way. I'm going to do the full system. Okay? So I've seen it, and I grew up amongst a lot of colorism, where the lighter skinned children got treated better. I didn't know that I wasn't dark until I came to the continent. I thought that I was black and ugly. Listen to me. It was when I came here for the first time. I've been to 5 countries: Ghana, Benin, Togo, Senegal, and Gambia. I've seen the most beautiful dark skin in Benin. Cool, smooth, beautiful, handsome brothers and beautiful sisters. And they look at me and say, oh, that I am light. I grew up thinking that I was black and ugly. I had a father who was Rastafarian. He's amongst the ancestors now. And because of his Rastafarian philosophy and belief, what he did was what I'm telling you, the cognitive behavioral therapy. Every day when someone bought me a white doll, you know what my father did? He sanded the doll down and he painted it black. And he said, this is your doll, love black, every day. So imagine, every day of my life, he had to put this in my mind to reverse the spell that tried to make me believe that my skin was ugly, that my lip was ugly, that my nose was ugly. We have to reverse it. That means all of the messages that we see on television, all of the billboards that we look at, we have to have a transformational experience that affects the entire country. Mm-hmm. Because everywhere we go, we see a white Jesus. And if someone is telling you to worship an image that does not look like you, they're telling you that your God does not even your God looks like you. When you go to India and you see Krishna, Indians have an Indian God. When you go to China, you see they have a Chinese God, Buddha. When you go to, even in the indigenous places, the indigenous practices of Central America and South America, their gods look like them. But when we come into the black man's country, we do not have a God of our own that looks like us. So why wouldn't I want to bleach my skin? Why wouldn't I treat a lighter skinned child better than a darker skinned child? Why wouldn't I curse that child more? I'm working, I have a practice, and I have my clients, my community, I call them my transformees. And I have someone who I'm working with, or I've had people that I've worked with in the past, and they've said to me, growing up, because I was darker, they told me that I was stupid, that I was ugly. And it's something that I've witnessed in my own life. So we cannot talk about the problem without talking about the process that created the problem. Even normalizing a conversation around that process is life-changing. I spoke yesterday and I asked them about this, and I asked everyone in the audience, why do we bleach our skin? Why do we? I use the word we because I consider us a collective. Right? And just because I'm healed, I cannot be healed and everyone else isn't, and everything is all right. We need a collective healing. So I said, why do we bleach our skin? This was an audience of Ghanaians. And this one beloved auntie, she got up and she said, because we want to look finer. That's what she said to me yesterday. We want to look finer. I said, well, if we look finer, we would buy clothes. Why can't we get our clothes tailored and look cute and be finer? And she didn't say it in public, but when the program was over, she came to me privately in tears, privately. So what I understand in the short time that I've been here in Ghana and I've been out speaking and teaching and doing my message is that the people are yearning for healing. Because if she wasn't, she would not have come to me privately. The people are yearning for the truth. We just need a way. We just need a way.
What is the way?
I believe this is a good start. I believe your program is a good start. I believe having people who are willing and unafraid to tell the truth is a good start. I do. I believe this is a good start. We're not here, I'm not here to tell people don't practice this and don't do that. But love yourself in that. Love who you are. And if you don't love yourself, can you imagine the damage that you cause? Because everything becomes generational. So we harm our children.
Okay. We will leave this here. Maybe bleaching is another topic we can talk about some other day, because like I said, me ankasa personally, my involving me into it years ago. What I was going through, the people I was mingling with and all that, and coming out of it was a very difficult one and very expensive at that matter. Mind you, I was not even doing the excuse my language, the cheap bleaching, because I was rich when I was 24. At 24 I had 7 bedrooms in Temaye. I was rich. So the bleaching, if it is today, we will say the infusion and the tablet, it wouldn't be the one you are using that local soap on your face and all that. But the point I'm trying to make is that it's not anything we can just talk about it. I feel it's a whole trauma. I feel it's a whole addiction that needs I have been building up researching and how we can do this, but you can't actually talk about this publicly, because imagine someone who is living in the coast, abrochire, out there, the Western world. The weather will already make your skin nicer if you want to be fair, but the person is sitting in that cold and is still bleaching. So look at how that person will look like. So I feel, like I said, it's a trauma, it's an addiction that we need to talk about it. So I will leave that one. So you come some other day for us to talk about it, so we don't eat much into the time, because your topic is quite huge. And if you should talk about bleaching, I will tell you to go and start from your people, because they bleach more than we bleach, 100 million times than Ghanaians do. Let's call a spade a spade.
You mean in Jamaica?
Yes, they
oh my
bleach
goodness,
heavily.
Listen, they have a song about it. Do you know Vibes Cartel wrote a song? That's why I'm gonna bleach my skin like Michael Jackson. He said he uses the cake soap. He uses the cake soap. We have a soap that we use called Blue. When you wear white like this and you rub it on your clothes, it makes it shiny. And for a while they were using the cake soap. So I say we. When I speak, I say we. Because I don't say you.
Yes.
I don't come and, someone told me the reason why Ghanaians really receive you, Sister Keachia, is because you have a very motherly message. I cannot look at my brothers and sisters and attack them. I cannot do that. Me, Sister Keachia. I have to speak like we. Because when I watch a football game, if I turn off a volume of a football game in Ghana, I think I'm watching a Jamaican game.
That is a matter for another day, because when Jamaica and Ghanaians are playing, you would have a pass at all costs. You will be behind the back of your people, and I will be sitting here saying Ghana, Ghana, Ghana. So though we are one people, we all love our tribe or something. They say charity begins at home. But let's leave this one here. Your topic is a huge one, so I want us to get into it. What is her topic? Emotional healing in African spirituality. That is one. And releasing trauma through African spirituality. Even healing in African spirituality is a huge topic, and adding the second one. So I'm not going to take much of your time. So the randoms is done. You are watching the biggest, the largest, the highest, the tallest, and the greatest African spiritual platform. The platform is open for all. It is our platform. We need to work on ourselves. So my sister, take us through your topic, healing in African spirituality and releasing trauma through African spirituality. What is African spirituality?
African spirituality is understanding the power of connecting with nature, the power of connecting with our ancestors, the power of giving honor to the inner self, the soul, I call it the big S. I have fancy words because sometimes it's hard for people to grasp what you're saying when you're using talk that sounds uncomfortable. So the big S is the spirit self, the part of you that lives into eternity, because this physical is nothing, right? And so the big S is the part of us that has a connection to nature, to cosmology, to every living thing, because we understand that everything has energy. And I'm speaking as a diasporan. You hear my talk. You hear how I'm speaking, my dialect. I don't have a tongue. I don't speak Tree right now. Right? Eventually, time will come. But I'm speaking as a melanated woman of the diaspora who practices African spirituality. And I myself grew up believing that African spiritual practices were bad, that they were evil. I did not understand who I was. And so I had a brown skin, a melanated skin with a European mind, right? With a European mind. My father transitioned, and I'm going to tell you what I mean, but I want to get into my father transitioned on December of 2014, and I was very close to him. I did not understand what was happening in his transition, but what kept happening was he kept bringing me closer to honoring him, feeding him. And through the process of connecting with him on a spiritual level, I discovered myself. It wasn't even really about him. He helped me in that relationship. to discover the God in me and my own powers. That I no longer had to question or doubt who I was, whose I was, and how this world was going to receive me. Through African spirituality. And then I was blessed in my search to connect with a community. I have a godmother. I practice Ifa, Yoruba, right? And through that community, I learned how to use ritual to become my highest self. I learned how to connect with my ancestors, to get answers. Through that ancestral wisdom, I was driven to be right here in Ghana, to be sitting with you. So let me go back a little bit. And I said I'm Ghanaian by way of Jamaica. So in our Jamaican traditions, we have African spirituality, but they don't call it that. They don't call it that. When someone passes away, we wait until the 9th night to celebrate their spirit. That's African spirituality, right? When we buy a piece of land, you do not build on that land until you kill a goat and pour the blood on that land. Yes, I'm saying that. That is African spirituality. But they never told you. They never looked you in the face and said, this is African spirituality. These are practices of our ancestors. You know what I mean? My grandmother, she can look through someone and tell you all about them. She could hold your hand and read you. And no one said that's African spirituality. She knew how to use herbs to conjure up energy and to heal you. My grandmother Ruby. But nobody looked at me and said, this was African spirituality. So what was happening was all of the messages in society and all of the upfront messages in my culture created what I call cognitive dissonance. So I'm seeing this here, but I'm hearing this here. So guess what? Now there's a battle. I'm confused. So what do? I fall in line with mainstream. So yes, I had dreads, and I might wear something African, or I wear a cowrie shell. But I wanted to be like the white man and the white woman. I wanted to be in their spaces and to have what they have and to live how they live. I did not want to be an African. I did not want to be an African. And it wasn't until my father's passing that this truth came to me, that I can heal my life and heal myself through the traditions and the practices of my ancestors. So I myself was born a seer. What do I mean by that? Since I've known myself, Maame Grace, I can tell you, the youngest that I can remember, I was 4 years old when I would have dreams and have visions and see things before they happened. When I was much younger, I would actually see spirits. I would see, they would come like shadows. But after going through a life, I wasn't a part of a village that taught me how to embrace that. I read The Healing Wisdom of Africa by Malidoma Somé. And that book, when I heard about all of the initiations and the traditions that he went through in his village as a child to help him honor his gift, I didn't have that. I didn't have a community in a village that said, this child, my grandmother, she did always used to say, Ruby, rest her soul. She always said, you see this little girl? She's going to be a seer. This little girl has a third eye. My grandmother used to speak that over me. And then she would take her healing oil and do her prayers and tie my head down, you know, as a child. But I did not know. I lost connection. I was afraid of my own gift. And when I came into African spirituality, I began to embrace my gift. Even since I've been here in Ghana, I've been here for 6 months. If I tell you the dreams and the visions that I've had since I have been here, very, very powerful. One which I saw a man come to me dressed in all white. He was dressed in a dress. He had on all white, and he had his hands like this. And he came to me in a vision, and he said, you had to leave the Philistines and come amongst the children of Israel. He said you could not heal being amongst the Philistines. You needed to come amongst the children of Israel so that you can heal. I saw that in a vision. I saw that in a vision. So my dreams are not like, oh, I was just walking down the street. I see in color, everything is always very bright. And it wasn't until I came into African spirituality that I was able to heal the pain of wanting to reject and abandon the practices of my ancestors.
Okay, that's your concept of African spirituality. If I decide to get into that, the time will be that I want you to get into your topic, healing in African spirituality and releasing trauma through African spirituality. So take us through.
So the reason why I wanted to have that conversation is because I believe that people of the African continent are not aware of how to channel their gifts and how to channel their powers for goodness and for their own good. Because if we did, we would not be sitting in so much poverty amidst and amongst so much wealth. We have all of the resources here on the continent that the world needs. And what's happening is we allow the European to come and pillage and rob and steal and take and make it their own while we sit and we wonder. And so when I talk about any type of spiritual, when I use the word spirituality, I'm talking about tapping into and connecting to the power of the mind and connecting to mind science and the power of who you are. So my work is specifically centered around recovering and healing trauma. I don't believe that we understand what trauma is. We don't grow and believe that this experience was traumatic and it needs our attention. We believe that it happened when we were children and that we should move on and live our lives and forget about what happened in the past. The unfortunate thing is the things of the past affect how we show up in our adult life. So I'm not here to say people should practice African spirituality. I'm not here to sell that. I'm here to say that we have to heal and connect to the God within ourselves and to our higher selves so that we don't have to pass on trauma to the next generation.
So how do we heal and how do we connect?
So we heal and connect through awareness, coming out of denial. That's the very first step. We have to talk about what has happened to us. The question is not what's wrong with you. The question is what happened to you. So our very, very first step, you know, melanated people all over the world, they don't believe in therapy. They don't believe that they should go to someone else to speak about what has happened to them. We don't believe that because we say, why would I go to someone else and talk about this thing? What is that for? Why would I need to do that? But the thing that we don't want to speak about is bothering, it's affecting our lives. It is creating addiction and attachment. It is creating limiting thoughts, beliefs, pain. I am not enough, right? We all return to this emotional home that we believe to be true. When I first came here, well, not first, back in 2021, I was here with my children. And there was a young lady that my children became very close to. And my children said, Mommy, you have to talk to her. I said, what happened? She's not happy, she's not happy. I said, what do you mean she's not happy? The little girl said her mother hit her in the face with a shoe and her tooth chipped and started to bleed. We have to talk about what the side effects are of that behavior. We have to talk about the trauma that is created when we are incapable of being loving and compassionate to each other, to our children, in our communities. I understand that many of us are operating from a place of survival. We have to pay our bills. We need money. We need money, 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 money. We went into market the other day with an organization to do some outreach work, and the people said, we don't want to talk. We need money. There is a trauma in that because money is paper on ink. There is a mindset that attracts that experience to us. So how do we transform that mindset? How do we go into the space of the healing that needs to be done? Okay? So the very first step is we have to be honest about what we're suffering from. That is the very first step. We have to be honest about the things that we're doing to escape this thing and call it suffering, right? The next step is we have to talk about it. We cannot live in shame. We cannot have these thoughts of this is embarrassing, this is shameful. And I talked about this yesterday because I will hear Ghanaians say, you should be ashamed. You should be ashamed of yourself. There is nothing to be ashamed of. We need to put shame, guilt, embarrassment, and all those thoughts and ideas. We have to get rid of those beliefs that there's something to be ashamed of. Because if we're ashamed of it, then we're not going to expose it. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to face it. All right? The next thing is we need to create community spaces that allow room for this healing. And that's something that there's more action that needs to happen than conversation. Everyone who understands that there's a problem. Because there is a problem. There is a problem. Emotional healing is necessary.
Now, when you go out there, when you travel to the West, they have these mental homes, mental offices that you can actually just go there and they will have a conversation with you, counsel you, and all that.
Yeah.
From Jamaica to Ghana, let me talk about Ghana. We don't have those. We don't even take mental issues seriously in Africa. So how do we get through to the people to talk to them? Because it's not everybody that will have data. This program is not even on TV. How do people get data? How do we get through to people to understand this?
Yes.
Can it be an individual job, or we have to push it to the presidency so they are able to reach out to every Kana? How they reach out to every Kana, do campaigning time?
Yes. I believe that. I believe that there needs to be a gap that's bridged between the politics and the people around mental issues and mental illness. Because from Jamaica to Ghana, because it's the same, what I see is that when we talk about mental illness, there's a stigma that someone is mentally ill because they're walking down the street naked and they're eating out of the trash. I am not like that. That is not me. I am not mentally ill, right? Mental illness is not, I am eating out of the trash. That's another extreme of that person's mind is not there. We can give it names, we can call it, because they have fancy words that they consider to be diagnosis, right? We can call it a thing. We have names for that. Mental illness is your mind is the mothership and your mind does not feel well. Your mind is the mothership. Your mind and your feet, they need to be going in the same direction. So if we're bleaching our skin, the mothership is struggling with something. So the mind is not well. If we're scamming our brother or our sister, if we're willing to cheat our brother or our sister for 50 CDs, the mind could not be well. If we're willing to live amongst trash and pollution, the mind could not be well. So we have to change our thought process about what. So first thing is we have to redefine mental illness globally. There needs to be a global campaign that helps the people connect with this mindset that, wait a minute, I myself might be mentally ill. I might be struggling. That's what needs to happen. We have to redefine this affliction. We have to redefine it. And the reason why I mentioned African spirituality as well, I wanted to tell my story, yes, but I also believe that there are spiritual practices and indigenous practices that can help to support mental wellness. I don't know all of it. I'm still a student. I'm still very much a student. I just told you, my story started in 2014 when I came into this awareness of myself. So I'm not here to speak as an expert in African spiritual practices. I am still very much a student. However, I understand that we have healing wisdom in Africa, like Malidoma Some's book is titled, that there are herbs, that there are traditions, that there are practices, that there are breathing techniques, that there are connecting with the ocean and the water. I saw your book out there, Mami Wata, that there are practices with water healing. Water has memory. Water is life. There are things that we can do to restore ourselves. We need to uproot our traditional practices and bring them back to the forefront so that they can help us to heal. But first, we need to change our mindset about what mental illness is. That's first. And we do. We need campaigns. I tell people all the time, I can't do it by myself. I cannot do it by myself. But if we start with one healing center, many may grow, or many will grow. If we start with one healing center, walk-in centers. That's what I did when I was in the States. I organized, I facilitated, I supervised, I work in these spaces. I know them from the bottom to the top. So if somebody is watching who is ready to bring forth, please, I need that person to reach out to me because we need it here in Ghana.
Someone will ask, so looking at Ghana, you've been here for 6 months. What are some of the things you see here that makes you think that this behavior tells these people have so much mental illness or mental traumas? Like, what are the things?
Oh my gosh.
I can mention a few. But
I will mention a few. Let me start. I'm going to start with the food. I'm going to start with what we eat. I want to say that some of the foods that we're eating and the ingredients in the food, they are contributing. So this is not going to be what I think Ghanaians are doing that show mental illness. I want to say that some of the foods that we're eating is contributing to our state of mind, to the chemicals that we are ingesting. The use of plastic and rubber in Ghana is ridiculous. The use of rubber in Ghana is ridiculous. Styrofoam is ridiculous.
We are eating it and we don't know how to recycle it, destroying the earth at the end of the day. We are like that one there.
That's another show. I love that you understand what I'm speaking about. That you're right here with me, Maame Grace. I love that you are right here with me. Okay? The styrofoam and the rubber, it is unhealthy and it is a sure sign of mental illness because when they're finished with it, they take it and they throw it on the ground. I went to Makola Market to do outreach with an organization to talk about Pan-Africanism and how we need to unite. The people looked at me and said, I don't need you to talk to me. Give me money. That's what they said. Give me money. You said it earlier. You could be rich. You could be rich. Didn't you say this? You could be rich and still feel like you have to rub your skin. You could be rich and still feel like you have to cheat or lie to your brother or your sister. When we just got here, we were driving on Tema Motorway, a flower road. My Ghanaians know. And the AC was not working in our vehicle because somebody sold us a lemon. That's what I will say out loud. Somebody sold us a car that was not in the best condition. And my son had his window down and somebody on a motorbike came and snatched the phone out of his hand on the highway. Now, I will not speak about mental illness in Ghana as though it is not horrible in the West. I will not speak of it in a manner in which, because I am not putting down my brothers and sisters here.
We are not putting anybody down.
Yes. And
we are not saying it is not in the West. But you and I know, because if we want to correct anything, the sincerity should be part of it.
Yes.
The Western world is happening there. But look at the help. Before they are there, but they have all opportunity to repent.
Then they have to deal with their own wickedness.
Yes.
That's a different show.
That's a different
show.
Right
now,
Let's
I'm
talk
here.
About our own.
Yes. That's
how we do things. Somebody will build a house and leave the bathroom water to pass through somebody's house, in front of somebody's house. The things we are doing here. The same market, that's where you sell. The main hold is broken and you are putting plastics in it. We are using plastic left, right, center, and we didn't think of recycling it.
And the rats, I saw a rat.
You saw a rat?
In the market, Maame Grace. I said, wahala. I said every bad word you can think of. Because listen, I used to live in New York and we have rats in New York. And I said, I woke up in the morning, I said, I can manage the lizards, I can manage the snakes, but thank God I don't see any rats. I spoke too soon. I went in the market the same day and this big rat
African rats
came out with the food and everything.
African rat, they eat great. They eat better than human beings.
Very good. And I wanted to cry. I said, this is a wahala.
Rats cry.
I wanted to rat cry. I wanted to rat cry. I wanted to rat cry.
You are watching the biggest and the largest. Our sister saw a rat and he was crying. Come to one market.
Hey. I saw a rat and I said, oh my, I started to scream. I said, ah! And the man, one of the brothers that was with us, he said, oh, they eat very well. They eat very well, oh. You know? But what I notice here is that, you know, you would say, can you do this? And the person will say yes, and you pay the person. And when you go to pick up the thing that they told you they can do, they could not do it. This is mental. This is what we have to address. I came here with my dog. I brought my dog from America to Ghana. My dog is very fluffy, beautiful. Yes, I brought my dog. All I know is we found these people and they said they can cut the dogs here. Maame Grace, we paid them. When we went to pick up the dog, my husband said, where is my dog? Maame Grace, don't laugh. I was crying again. I called him. I said, hey.
They have deducted the dog.
I said, what did you do to my dog? He does not have his whiskers.
Oh.
You know what he said? Whispers, not whiskers. He said whispers. I did not cut his whispers. I said he does not have any whiskers. Where is my dog? He says, sorry-o. It will grow back.
You are watching the biggest. It will grow back indeed. You know that. Has it not grown back?
Not really. Not really. Not really. Every day.
The biggest and the largest. Seriously.
We call him Kweku International, my dog. He was born on a Wednesday.
Cutting off.
I said Kweku International. Oh. What happened?
Oh.
He said, yes, we can do it. When I called the man, he said, your husband told me 3 mm. He said, sorry-o, it will grow back. Sorry. So he's gone with the CDs.
Seriously, you see, the reason why I don't want to compare the wickedness or the mental issues going on in the West, I don't want to compare it to our own.
It's not.
Our youth are strong, hardworking.
Yes.
They are trying.
Yes. Unemployment,
frustration. 24-year-old man, young man, is sleeping or living in the mother's house. They are maybe 20. He is the firstborn. He needs to do this. We don't actually have any space or facility or structures that will help any of our youth.
Right. Maame Grace, I want to go deeper though. We're talking about some of the aesthetic issues. I'm going to tell you what Ghanaians have told me. Because since I've been here, I've been speaking publicly. I've been going out. I've been doing outreach. And I'm going to tell you what people come to me in private and tell me. Like the other day, the 2 young ladies who said to me, I cannot go to my mother and cry. If I make a decision that she does not like, she will curse me. I will be a disgrace to my family. I want to talk about the issues that people are telling me in secret. Okay? I want to talk about the issues of young people feeling shamed and unheard, as though they can't make decisions for themselves, as though they have to do whatever they believe pleases their family. And if they don't, the type of language, the way that they're being spoken to. I had one man tell me, I did a show on YouTube, and a man saw me on the show and he reached out to me. He said, I don't have the money for a session, but I thank you for speaking with me. He said, I never forget my father said, why don't you kill yourself? His father. I don't know, Maame Grace.
Divorce, the the things they would say to you see, the trauma is huge. That's why give us 5 structures. Maybe we all cannot get through to you. Like someone told you, you didn't have money for a section. This is the biggest. We are always trying to help our people, whether they have or not. So give us 5 structures that will fit into everybody's trauma.
Okay.
And
Let's go into some steps. I love steps. I'm a steppy kind of person. Let's do the steps. First of all, if you're watching this and you realize there's something within you that you're feeling pain about, the first thing that I want to invite you to do is to start to journal. Every day. I call it making a shameless inventory. Begin to write it out and look at it. Because when we take pen to paper and the energy that we allow to flow through our hands, because everything is energy. So if you write it out and you visualize healing coming from your hands into the pen, into the paper, that is one step. Begin to write it out. I feel sad because blank, blank, blank. Even if your feeling is joy, begin to connect with your emotions, because what trauma does to us is it makes us disconnect from our bodies. That's why we can harm ourselves and it doesn't matter, because we don't feel one with our bodies. We call it, in psychology, we call it dissociation. Many of us are dissociated. So we need to begin to do more that allows us to feel connected to our bodies again. So journaling, writing it out. I feel blank because blank. Start to get close to your feelings. If you get around someone and you notice that your heart starts beating and your palms start sweating, ask yourself, what did that person say to you that made you feel that way? This is one step that brings us closer to our intuition as well. Right? That's one step. Another step is we have to be mindful of who we go to, who we trust. A lot of people will come to me and they say, you know, their mother called them stupid. Their mother put them down because they didn't get this degree. But then they had this problem and they went to their mother. You have to ask yourself, what are your expectations in your relationships? Why would you go to someone that puts you down to seek support and love and compassion? If someone has shown you that they are incapable, I know it is hard. Sometimes the people that we want to love us, they do not have the capacity to give us the love that we want. And sometimes those people are our mothers and our fathers and our family members. So you have to begin to be honest with yourself about who you trust and why you trust them. So with that, I want to invite you to identify, if you even have one person is more than enough. One person is more than enough. Identify one person that you can trust. Okay? Step 3, we're going to get into another step. All you have to do is make up your mind about who you are and what you want to become. We are all becoming. This Sister Keachia that you're talking to today is not who I was in 2014, is not who I was in 2010, is not who I was. I am becoming. So create room for your growth. Allow yourself to become. And we cannot be prisoners to our own thoughts and our own beliefs, or else we will not learn. Okay? So leave some room in there to be open to what someone else has to teach you. Leave room to what the information is that Maame Grace offers in this platform. Leave room for the speakers that come here and the lessons and the things that are being taught. Leave room. We cannot be closed and expect new things to happen. And I'm going to give another step. They're like coming up in my mind as we're speaking. You cannot do things the same way and expect a new result. That is the true definition of madness. That is the true definition of madness. You have to ask yourself, what are you doing to contribute to your own suffering? What are the things that you repeatedly do that don't give you the results that you want, but you keep doing it over and over and over and over and over again? And then we say we're a victim. We have to abandon the victim mindset. We are not victims. I don't even like to speak about the affliction, because sometimes when we get in black spaces and we talk about black power and we talk about the white man, we don't need to give them any more credit and power that we've already given to them. We are not victims. So we have to change, we have to break away from the victim trap and change this mindset that something is happening to us, or else we'll never come out of it. We'll never come out. So those are a few steps.
Those are a few steps. You are watching the biggest and the largest. Forgive yourself. I say it. Forgive yourself. It's the easiest way. Don't be too hard on yourself. That's the most important step to take. It's all about consciousness and it's all about awakening. Okay, my sister, advise us your last words for the public, and if there are any social media handles, please put it through.
Okay, yes. So the last words, whoa. I love what Maame Grace just said. I want to encourage that self-forgiveness is very, very important. We have to be loving. We have to be compassionate. And the voice of your inner spirit, the voice of your higher self, the voice of your highest good will never put you down. The voice of your inner God will never put you down, will never make you believe that you are not enough and that you are bad and that you are not worthy of love. If you hear that voice, and if that voice is showing up, challenge it. Challenge that voice. Challenge it. Do not allow it to settle in and dictate your, remember, you have thoughts that become feelings, and those feelings become actions. Check in with your thoughts every day. Check in with your thoughts every day. Okay? Love on yourself. Forgive yourself. Be compassionate with yourself. Your self-love is not selfish. It is okay, because we cannot pour from an empty cup. We cannot pour from an empty cup.
Social media handles.
So my handles, I have quite a few. If you're interested in learning more about emotional healing, healing inner child wounds, recovering from trauma, you're welcome to visit me on Instagram, movements_for_change. My website is movements with an S for change.com, mymovementsforchange.com. Movements for Change on YouTube, Movements for Change LLC, and also Akoma Healing Arts. You know, I have work where we talk about healing racial trauma. My husband and I, we do tours here to Ghana, and you know, you can learn more about our work at Akoma Healing Arts, AKOMA, Akoma Healing Arts.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming, my sister. I do appreciate you, and I appreciate your husband for bringing you. He's sitting here in this studio, so our love to him as well. Abusia, all I have to say is that you own yourself before you have any other thing. Losing yourself is like losing everything. So if the man is left, if you were treated badly when you were a child, anything you have gone through, this body is so intelligent to pull through anything. Focus on yourself and let things go, and let yourself go, and you are able to go forward. Thank you so much for watching the biggest and the largest. What has happened? Whatever that has happened, there is a way out. So find yourself and find your way out. Thank you so much, Sister Keachia, for coming. Macrao.